Back, the Kwazulu-Natal Economic Development MEC, Ravi Pillay, has told Newzroom Afrika that the estimated cost of damage to infrastructure from the floods this week stands at 10 billion rand. Last week, the Human Settlements Minister, Mmamoloko Kubayi, confirmed that 4,000 houses were completely destroyed, with 8,000 partially damaged. Now, for more on the cost of the destruction, we're joined by the Deputy President of the Durban Chamber of Commerce, Gladwin Malishe. Mr. Malishe, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program. How far have you got as far as business estimations and accounting for the losses suffered so far?
Good afternoon, Thembekile and viewers. At this point in time, we are still busy quantifying the damage. We have sent out through our stakeholders here at KZN as well as the Economic Development a request for information so that we can exactly know from the businesses how much damage they've actually suffered, so we can actually quantify, and also to be able to know what kind of an assistance that they need, so we can lobby for them to government and other stakeholders who could be able to assist them. At this point in time, we've been focusing on getting our hands dirty by getting NGOs to donate and sending food to those who actually need it. So we're encouraging at this point in time guys to come and donate. We are working very closely with the rescue teams based in Virginia, using helicopters to reach areas where it's very difficult to reach.
And from what you've seen so far as damage to businesses, what is going to be the most urgent form of assistance? Is it money that you're going to need most?
Well, I think we will need to fix the infrastructure, especially the road, because they are the linkage to other provinces. As you know, that we have the busiest port where fuel and other essential stuff are coming from. So I think the priority would be fixing the infrastructure and making sure that businesses are able to have electricity as well as water, so they can start their production. So that is very important in order to be able to feed people and to get the economy going and people going back to work. So that is the priority at this point in time. But we are also saying that it's a priority to make sure that people have shelter, also that we are helping those who have lost their family members at this point in time.
There was that visit by a cabinet delegation towards the end of last week where the Transport Minister was in KZN, the Human Settlements Minister as well, Small Business Development Minister Ndabeni Abrahams, also part of that delegation, where she spoke at a briefing about assistance for small businesses, for informal traders, for example. I think money to the tune of 10,000 rand was put forward as a starting base for assistance. How clear is it to you what government is actually going to do, both at a provincial and national level, to assist business?
Well, I would say that at this point in time, we're still waiting to engage further so that we can be able to get clarity on these matters. I think it's important for us to know, is it a loan, is it a grant, as well as what they want to cover, so that when we also receive the request for information and we know how many businesses have suffered and who needs what, we'll be able to lobby on behalf of those businesses. For instance, we know that those who are really suffering right now, those tech shops in the townships, especially in those areas where there was flooding, where they've lost everything. They don't even have the paperwork to show that they've got businesses. At the chamber, we have a link with CIPC, so we'll be actually opening up to help those people to get their papers together so they can be able to apply if it's a grant or if it's a loan. So it will be important for us to get more clarity, to sit down with government. At this point in time, I think the biggest focus is to recover the bodies of those who have lost their lives, and also making sure that people have got shelter, that have got food. But in the meantime, we are also looking forward to the engagement with the government so that we are able to know what exactly the funding is all about, so we can be able to take it down to our members.
What about insurance claims and the speed at which that process is now being handled? Is it something that you as a chamber have left to individual entities, or are you also keeping an eye on how those companies are assisting and how quickly they're indeed able to do it, given that this is an emergency?
Well, the chamber normally, like for instance, after the July unrest, we were able to assist our members, even those that were not our members, in order to make sure that they're able to get the assistance, especially from insurance companies. So we play a referee on there to make sure that the speed for them to be processed so that they would get their money and start their work is very essential, because we need to get this economy going. So even at this time around, we must note that especially the SMMEs, many of them do not have the insurances. So it is important, therefore, to see how we can actually assist them together with government, because we do need those SMMEs. They are the biggest employer. They might be employing one or two in a company, but that makes a lot of difference. And it's important to make sure that those guys are actually assisted. But also remember that some guys have actually claimed last year on the looting, that we had July. So others might not even have revived their policies. So it's important that we sit down and we also understand. So the chamber plays a role to understand where the businesses are and where can we actually lobby for them.
With that context then, Mr. Malishe, are there businesses that simply will not survive this?
Absolutely, without a doubt. There are companies, remember that others were being affected by the lockdown, which we understand why the government has to put the lockdown. After the lockdown, there was a looting, and some of them, as we said, they never had, insurances, so they were using their money to start again. They were still trying to survive, and now this. So, it takes a lot from a person, hence why we were also saying we might need a lot of psychological help to some of these business people. This kind of a loss could affect somebody's mind. So it is important to also understand that not only their mind, but also their livelihood, their money, they can't even feed their families anymore. They can't take their kids to school because they were surviving through these businesses. So there is a lot that needs to happen in terms of that.
Final question. Minister for Human Settlements, Mmamoloko Kubayi, when she was in KZN, made a plea to say to businesses that given this hour where there will have to be a lot of public procurement of goods and services in order to rebuild their eThekwini and surrounds, the plea then was for businesses not to use this as an opportunity to inflate costs to line their pockets. Is that a message that you echo and will be encouraging among the business community in eThekwini?
100%. We echo the same message to businesses all around. Let us understand that no one planned this flooding. Let us be, of assistance to one another. Let us keep the prices in a reasonable way. Also, we are also encouraging that even the government officials, this money that is coming, it might not be plundered like we have seen with the COVID-19 as well as other disasters where money comes but they don't even reach people. So the message goes both ways to say that as business, we will not be taking accountability. We are saying everyone must not raise their prices. Please, we are in a disaster and we need to assist one another. Also, government, please make sure the monies that are promised are coming and they are going directly where they are needed. It's very important to make sure that we are covering the gap. Other families have lost everything. They don't have anything. Think about it now. If this money, there's corruption and we need to have another inquiry. It's not going to work as a country because that will also be pushing away foreign direct investors, even internal, people from South Africa who want to invest in our country. Because if we can't handle, a situation such as a disaster and be able to assist one another, that will be a hopeless country.
Final one now. There's the conversation that's ongoing about who should handle the emergency funds. There's a lot of mistrust among some South Africans about what government officials will do if they are left to police the kitty on their own. Do you share that mistrust, that lack of trust?
There is, we've been getting calls, but let me just give you a position of the Durban Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We have an NPO, trusted NPOs and NGOs that we are working with. They are able to collect and be accounted for everything that they're actually doing. So we are encouraging, especially corporate, to come and use reputable NGOs that will be able to account for each and every cent or each and every product that was sent to them. So that's where our message is. What happens with the government, I think they need to make sure that they also give a similar message, assure people that their monies will be safe and they will go exactly where they are needed. But if people feel that, we can't trust the government, please come on the NGOs. But also, if you can't trust the private sector, you can go and put the donation with the government as well.
Gladwin Malishe from the Durban Chamber of Commerce, where he's Deputy President. Thank you for your time, sir.